Housing market trends, both local for Wichita and national, is what I'm going to go over today. But before we get into all that, please like, comment, subscribe, share. For the length of this video, I'm just going to get right into it. So let me share my screen, show you the data like we like to go over. So first one I'm going to go over is, in September, home sales were down 12%, but the price was up on everything. So if you look at this here, you can show the number of units fell by 12%. Total existing home sales was 13%, but the price went up by 7.5%. So this shows you that number of sales are down, but price is up. Nothing's crashing. When it comes to new builds, they're only down 2%, 2.6%, and the average home price was $393,000, nearly unchanged from last year's figure on everything. Another important thing to note is the 1515 units we have right now, and a lot of this will be shown in graphs. So let me go ahead and scroll down to that so I'm not too long-winded on these things, to give you some good insights and actionable points to deal with on this. Most things are best represented by graphs. So as you can see, what went on like 2022 in our market, it's been pretty splotchy, like up and down, to be honest with you, kind of volatile, where it's like 1 month we sell a good amount, then we're down, then we're up, then we're up, then we're down, then we're up, then we're down. So it's been kind of a roller coaster ride this year, but I do see everything starting to trail off into the winter like it typically does. It did that in 2022. 2021 it didn't, because of where rates are at. We stayed pretty strong on that, but now knowing where rates are at, things are going, I could see this number go down, but nobody knows at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, people are always buying and selling real estate, and there's always opportunities where people need help. And sometimes the winter could be some of the best times to buy and sell, because you have serious buyers and serious sellers on everything. So most of the closed volume in the Wichita area is this $200,000 to $400,000 range. If you see the highest double-digit percentages there, but this allows you to study what goes on in our market. If you pause this and really look at the numbers and the data, not necessarily the opinions or headlines or things that go with that. Our average price of closed listings is $255,000, so that gives you an idea of the price point in Wichita. I don't really look at median price, just because I'm not a huge fan of median price. That's different. That's just the middle, not necessarily the average of everything. So that's the difference between average and middle. Average is everything divided by itself. Median is just where's the middle of everything. So gives you kind of statistics lesson quick on why those are different and why we even look at some of that stuff, but it can be a little bit misleading depending on which one you're looking at. Like average days on market right now is 20, and that's honestly a better number to go off of than like the median days on market, which is 6. So it's kind of like, which one is it, 20 or 6? I'd go off the 20 and 21 days of everything, just because as you're seeing, houses aren't selling in a day or two or even a week. Sometimes it takes 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months to get homes sold, and that's where you're seeing the numbers reflect in this. So it's just appropriate that we have the right expectations from the start of what actually is happening in our market. We are starting to see number of listings climb, so that's interesting that we're starting to get back to 2020 levels. Before the interest rates went nuts, a lot of this activity and lack of listings was due to interest rates on it all. People didn't want to give it up, which is really interesting how we're seeing more people bring listings to market, even with interest rates so low or so high. But I'll show you why later, because you would think that would be the case, but that's not actually true. So we're seeing more and more listings tick up on all this. So more and more listings are coming to the market. We're getting more options for inventory to come out there, even though interest rates are higher. That's not something we entirely expected. But it's because so many homeowners have either more than 50% equity, or they have the house paid off free and clear. And a lot of them don't really care about the interest rates, to be honest with you, because it's not affecting them. That's why we're starting to see the active listings come up on everything. So let's see, 20% of the market is 300 to 400,000 that's actively listed. A good thing to take into account with this, though, as well, is that just because those houses don't sell doesn't mean people lose it or it goes away. They just didn't sell it. They just hold on to the asset. They just hold on to the property. They just couldn't liquidate it, is basically what happens there. So moral of the story is, when you start to get above 400,000 Wichita, it's a lot harder to list and sell your house. As you can see, the month supply starts to get higher up here. and it's a lot more of a balanced market when you start to get into the $400,000 plus price range. When you're 400 and below, or 400 to 200s, barely still a seller's market on everything. But every house is a unique case-by-case scenario on everything, just to give you an idea of what's going on with everything. The active days on market of actively listed homes is 59, so you're seeing listings sit longer. This is pretty common through the fall and the winter. As you can see, they just take longer, to where it's kind of like if they don't sell now, we're looking at spring next year, really. And so you got to just kind of stay in it for the long haul is really the words I would use for everything. Just make sure you're in a secure financial situation that you can stick it out, ride it out, or you will have to accept a lower price on everything. Otherwise, you just got to wait it out till that right buyer comes along where we can work out a solution for things. So let's see, month supply is starting to go up, so we're starting to see more listings. But again, it's not like a situation of 08 where it's like, oh, we got so many listings that we're getting oversaturated. Because even in 2017 and 18, we're at 3 months, and to get to a balanced market, technically you need to have 6 months of supply. So that shows you how far off we are from a balanced market on everything. Let's see what else to go over that's significant. We haven't really been getting a lot of new listings coming to the market, so it's kind of like what has been coming out there has been sitting. Buyers have kind of been waiting, being pickier, stagnating, stalling because of interest rates, election cycles, the economy, all the things that has kind of constricted our real estate market. Let's see, anything else significant to go over on this before we get to national trends? I don't really think so. If you need help interpreting this from your own personal standpoint situation, you're kind of like, how does this affect me? How does this, like, what's this have to do with me? Shoot me a message, reach out. I'll be happy to explain and break something down for you personally, customized for you. Give me a call, shoot me a message, sign up on the website, whichever way you need to get a hold of me. But that's the local stats for Wichita, Kansas. So now we'll get into the national stats to kind of give you some more insights of the trends of the whole nation that are happening that also affect you here in Wichita, and making sense of, what are people doing from a mass scale of human behavior when it comes to real estate. A lot of good agents have an idea what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening, but the best ones can explain what's happening. And hopefully that is what we're getting through to you today, that we can really explain and interpret and help you understand what's going on with all this, and then how to make the best decision for you and your personal real estate situation on everything. One of the myths is that foreclosures are increasing, but actually you can see they're all-time lows. Like, this is what they look like in 08. This is what they look like now. That is not anywhere near what was going on in 08, as far as even before 08 and in the middle of 08. So for anybody who thinks it's going to happen is just foolish and just thinking crazy. Another myth is that Airbnbs will crash the housing market. And actually that's not really true on everything. There's people that would consider it, but a lot of them just own it. And people just consider renting out their home if they can't get it on Airbnb, like as a regular rental or things like that. So short-term rentals have been down. Flip side of the issue is there's a lot of empty rentals. So I could see either those coming to market or being turned into just regular old single family rentals. But this is the interesting part. It wasn't Wall Street that was doing this. It wasn't the big boys doing this like people think it was. It was a lot of your mom and pops, your 1 to 9 properties, people that honestly kind of didn't entirely know what they're doing, but they had cheap money and ability, and they're allowed to go purchase homes, and they did. And now they're sitting there going like, crap, this isn't quite working out as great as I thought it was going to be from an Airbnb standpoint, from a rental standpoint. So I could see some of them either offloading these homes or just holding on to them, or kind of sitting there going like, they thought it was an opportunity to buy rental properties, but then everybody rushed into the market, and that changed a lot of things. So you have a lot of your seasoned institutional guys, people that own a lot of properties that stick to their formulas, aren't really deviating from that. They kind of know how to make good purchases, but then when you had a lot of the newbies or inexperienced people making purchases, that's a lot of who's been buying up property, and why you see Airbnb sitting and different things of that nature on everything. So if you look at it, like 19% of it all was from your 1 to 9 properties, mom and pop people on everything. So that's why they won't get foreclosed. That's why either they'll sell them, they'll do a single family or like a 1-year lease as opposed to like a short-term rental. There's just a lot of people that are realizing that investing in real estate ain't so easy, isn't so passive, does have a lot of benefits that come with it all, but sometimes you got to learn things the hard way through experience with owning your own home than anything. There's a lot of sellers that are deciding to rent. Apartments still have a high demand. 32% of rental owners plan to sell in the next 2 years. One of the biggest unspoken things about this that most people aren't fully taking into account is how much more money per person in America we're making now, to where you have a lot more individuals renting homes. You have a lot more individuals buying homes. We have a lot more independence than we did before, where we had to have like two incomes to buy a home, or someone was dependent on another person for income, and that's not quite as much the case anymore. So we're more spread out than ever between rentals and purchases on everything. What we didn't expect with 7+% mortgage rates was more new listings, and I'll show you why here in a sec, as we're seeing the listings start to uptick compared to all the other years prior. And actually, when you look at mortgage rates, like 70% of them are less than 4% of the ones that have them. So you're sitting there going like, why are we getting more listings? And you can see how many of them don't want to sell. And the truth is because a lot of them are not affected by interest rates. 26% of homeowners said that high mortgage rates doesn't impact them, meaning they'll be doing cash sales or very low mortgage to where it's not that big of a deal. 43% of the 26%, that's a funny stat, said it's because they wouldn't need a mortgage. We have more cash than ever. We have more equity than ever. We're making a lot more moves, regardless of interest rates, dealing with either home equity or cash that people have from inheritance, the pandemic, whatever. Like, there's more cash out there in the world than I think people realize, and homeowners and people are using it in real estate without needing a mortgage or needing a lot of loans or debt or anything because of that, which is great for them on everything. It's just that's what's leading to people putting their houses on the market, doing things with that, as we see this big generational wealth transfer through houses and businesses over the next 10 years. Is where you're going to see people with more cash and more equity and need to do things with it to make it exchange. And you don't necessarily need an interest rate or debt or a loan to do all those things, but we still make exchanges within real estate with cash on everything. So mortgage rates less relevant for older homeowners. I can't remember where I read the stat, but it's like 60% of boomers own 60% of the wealth in the US. Like, it is that lopsided on everything. And that's why a lot of them don't care about interest rates or all of that. It's because they have the most wealth in the country. But as a lot of them pass it on, pass away, all of that is going to go somewhere. It's not going to die. It's not going to get like dissolved into the air. Like, it's going to pass on to someone and they're going to do something with this. So as that happens over the next 10 to 20ish years, as boomers pass on their inheritance, pass away, things get transferred, that opens up a lot of equity and a lot of cash flow for the entire country for things to happen, both through the housing market and in the business economy and environment. And part of that has to do with the strategy and lifestyle of, the boomers had kind of a nest egg mentality, whereas the younger generation has more of a cash flow mentality as far as their philosophy goes when it comes to finances on everything. So interesting concept there of why things are kind of sitting, stalling, stagnant. It's because we need to get that equity and that cash to flow within our country for things to move like they're supposed to. Which has to bring up the situation of equity, percent change in home prices over the last 5 years. This is a perfect point in case example. I say if you buy the right house, a good house that's in good shape, a good location, it will always go up over time, over 3, 5, 7 years. You can see over 5 years, all the different states and how much the national average is 57%. Everybody's investment went up by 57%. On average around the states, certain areas did more, certain did less, but they all went up over time. Way more than the 6% we charge to sell your house. As long as we help you make a smart purchase decision of a good house in good shape, which is where the construction background comes in, and then it's in a good location that's appreciating, that other people are putting work into their houses, the house prices are going up in that location, that neighborhood, that area, as long as it's a good spot. And that's where you really rely on your realtor to help you study how much an area could appreciate or is likely to appreciate, so that you're not really taking that big of a risk. And why we typically talk about how it's more important what the market's doing for selling your home or buying a home than necessarily the home itself. Like, you want a house that's in good shape, but really it's what's going wrong around the house, the data and the stats around the house that matter more than anything else. But this goes to show you the proof, from the Federal Housing Financing Association, that the data's there, that it goes up over time. And that's just over the last 5 years. If you go to since 1991, it's a 297% increase, or a 3x increase of your cash, your money, your investment, whatever you want to call it. Some are the areas, like Colorado, Utah, Oregon, or 569%, which is wild. That's a 6x return. And if you're a business person, that's usually what you're looking for: 3x, 5x, 10x returns. And if you're getting a 6x return over 20, 30 some years, it's pretty good. Same thing with 3x return. It's a good place to put your money, is in your house. But this right here is why we're able to do so many cash deals, make so many moves, make things work. Is we either got to use your equity or cash. 38% of people own the home free and clear. 30% have more than 50% equity. This is why we're seeing so many listings come to the market. Why so many people aren't that affected by interest rates is because there's a tremendous amount of equity, tremendous amount of cash in the economy that we could use, that we can circulate, that we can move things around to make things happen. So the truth is, Americans have more equity and more cash and more wealth than we ever have, and we have options to make things happen, regardless of what people are telling you about interest rates, the market, the economy, the world's falling and crashing, everything else goes with it. There are so many options out there right now and opportunities, and having a skilled agent like myself to help you make the most of it is more vital than ever, with somebody who knows how to really play this game well, not just write a contract, process an order, email someone. We really got to know how to play the game to get ahead financially on everything. And that's where we come in to help you make sense of all this stuff so that we can make smart moves, smart decisions, and get ahead with our personal homes on everything. But there's a tremendous amount of equity in cash. Just know that is what's driving a lot of this. It's not high interest rates and loans and mortgage applications and all that crap. Like, there's a lot of inheritance, cash, equity, like moves to be made that Americans have that is out there for making options happen. So, but a lot of it has to do with this right here, the grandparent wish to be with the grandkids. Because at the end of the day, like I said, like, people move and buy and sell based on life situations. And one of the most number one reasons they do is because they want to be closer to friends and family, either within the town they're in, or like this, where it's showing grandparents are moving at least 100 miles to be closer to their grandkids. They're moving back home. So in Wichita, we call them boomerangs. A lot of people move away to a bigger city, meet their spouse, start to have kids, and they realize how expensive that is. They move back to Wichita to be back near their grandparents. Like, that's what we see a lot in the Wichita area. Or you see grandparents moving from Colorado, Florida, some of these other states back to Wichita because their kids are still here, and they want to be together for family. So Wichita is a very family-oriented, family-centered city. And it's very good for that based on the price points you can sell in those other bigger markets. Come to Wichita and have a very family-oriented, down-to-earth, low and slow culture to really focus on the important things that matter, which is your relationships and being together. So that's a lot of what's driving people to sell and move, is cashing out on their equity, getting back to their roots, their hometown, like Wichita. And yeah, as you see, 21% moving to be closer to friends and family, moving due to retirement. Neighborhood became less desirable. I'm seeing a lot of people move from Denver, Colorado Springs area to Wichita just because it's getting too crowded out there. There's too many people, too much stuff going on. That and the homes out there, homes in these bigger markets are smaller than what you can get in Wichita. And then obviously changing family situation, marriage, divorce, job relocation, all these life things that lead people to need to buy and sell on everything. If you'd like me to pull a professional equity assessment report, let me know. I can send you that over from a distance without even needing to come see your house, hassle you with that. If you want me to walk your house, I can kind of show you what improvements to make or what not to, or what to be worried about or what not to. I'm more than happy to do that with my construction background. And I can also just email it over to you to give you kind of range of where you could do it. And if you want to strategically plan it for spring of next year, we're doing a lot of those assessments right now, because if you can, selling in February, March of next year would be best on everything. Home prices are still appreciating. The worst of it's behind us. Nobody truly knows the future. We just have to kind of like keep an eye on it all. It's what we want to look at. They kind of stagnated for a little bit on everything, but it's not like they fall. They like dropped out the bottom is what people are seeing. We're just kind of seeing things move slower because we're moving things on a cash and equity basis, not necessarily on an interest rate basis, is why you're kind of seeing a little bit of a stagnation, but things are still moving. So I can see things starting to pick up by the end of the year, and then really into next year as people realize none of this is changing. I'm still gonna have appreciation going forward, but that's pretty much all I got. So it's a lot of the older people that are moving back to Wichita or moving out of Wichita because they got equity, they have options, they have cash, and they're passing on to their kids and their grandkids. But hopefully that helped you assess what's really going on with the market, the economy, both locally and nationally. If you need any direct personal help, reach out, sign up on my website, whatever we can do to help you. Appreciate watching as always. We'll see you later.